Finally.
Let's go.
Remember
college nonsense. Let's get some real football.
Remember in youth sports when you would practice all summer and then finally it was Monday of game week and you felt like it was New Year's Day?
Yep.
That's what this feels like. We finally have a real football game to talk about.
We've been running suicides about Deshaun Watson for the last, 3
Aptly
months.
named.
Yep, 100%.
Just tired.
Yep.
13.
Oh,
14.
my God.
But it
Who's
is
not excited about Jacoby Brissett?
Well, let's not go crazy.
where my Brissett head's at.
Mike Polk in the hot seat today. I want to do a quick plug for the T-shirts. Not that I want to see anybody buy these, but I just told McNuggets this story. I was at a wedding. My niece got married on Saturday. And there was a group of 25-year-old or so guys, big fans of the show.
Yeah.
One of them said he thinks he may have been the first person to order the T-shirt.
Nice.
As soon as he saw the ad come up.
You should have bought them
placed
for
the
everybody
T-shirt.
at the wedding.
I want to buy them and set them all on fire so nobody has to look at 80-year-old Jay. That's what I want to do.
I think you're too
salty about that.
sensitive about
You're very
this.
salty.
Mike, I'm 57.
You look very dignified.
I'm 57. When you get to a certain point, you don't want to
Jay,
look 80.
Jay.
I'm okay looking
Jay.
57.
Yeah.
I just don't want to look 80.
Jay, I have a giant head on a tiny body.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I love every
You're
minute
fine.
of it. Let's go.
So embrace the
Let's
T-shirt.
go. Embrace it.
Where are they?
I'm naming that Denny's J. That's Denny's. You got the Buckeye card. You get 15% off everywhere.
Denny's J.
Denny's J.
He's
I
eating
hate
dinner at
Denny's.
4:30. Dinner at 4:30.
I'm there for the early buffet.
Jay, you're still a dreamboat. All the aunts in Cleveland love you. You're fine.
Oh,
Don't
wait,
worry
Jay, how
about
big
it.
a gift are you giving at this wedding? You want to share? Did you
Jeez, really? That's
I will.
Did you give her like $5,000?
Good
Like what happened?
Lord.
No, I don't think I should because there might be other relatives that are
Don't say
watching,
it.
and I don't want
Don't say
anybody.
it. I'm kidding.
She's an absolute sweetheart. She's actually my nephew's daughter.
Yeah.
So I'm her great uncle. That's how old
okay.
I am.
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant girl, absolutely stunningly beautiful. Just graduated law school. Her and her husband are on their way to a wonderful life.
No mention of
Good
the
for
guy.
them.
You don't like the
We'll
guy?
clap for
No,
them.
I do. His name is Jude.
Yeah.
Her name is Paige. They're on their way. They're going to have a wonderful life together. And I had a great time. Although I have to say, my nephew was a very good athlete, was a longtime football player, had a lot of success. He had a TV, a big screen, at this reception, which was lovely. It was a beautiful, but there's no way my wife would have allowed that.
No.
0% chance. And you're talking about, I got married on December 26th, 1987. The Browns played the Steelers.
Oh yes.
Oh,
Wow.
no.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
And the
poorly
ceremony was
planned.
going on while the game was starting.
I got married on a football Sunday as well.
Did you really?
Yes, in October.
Unforgivable.
2010.
Wow.
Yeah.
And everybody.
My buddies were on their
at your wedding
phones.
What
Oh,
are you
yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
See, this was pre-phones.
Right. They're checking their fantasy scores.
The Watchman with a little screen in it.
I got married last year in the summer when nobody was doing nothing.
Yeah, that's
Well,
the
you're
best
in
time
your
to do
sixth
it.
marriage by now.
That don't count. You're right.
Yeah,
they progressively get smaller.
Your next one's free, actually.
Oh, listen. The next one, no
JOP.
no invitations, no pictures.
Yeah.
I hope everybody had a great weekend.
Sure.
It's a long weekend,
Yeah.
and I think it's a perfect runway into. We have 4 days, guys. 4 days to dig into this matchup.
Oh, boy.
Big show today. Aditi's going to be on the show. Aditi is going to be the sideline reporter for CBS.
Cool.
For the Browns-Panthers game. I mean, I don't think you could ask for a better person if
right.
you're a Browns fan to have on the sideline. Also, Jay Feely, who has long time been for CBS, kind of the special teams third person on the broadcast team.
Right.
Anytime there was a big special teams play, they would go down to Jay, and Jay was great at talking to the kickers before the game, finding out what their range was each way. He knows most of the kickers still. He had a long career in the NFL. He's going to join us on the program. He's now in the booth. He's the color man for this game, which good for Jay. I remember when Jay first wanted to get into broadcasting, one of the things he fought was, I'm a kicker. Nobody wants a kicker as a commentator. I said, Jay, come in, show your knowledge on all sports. He used to come in, and he was eventually worked his way into a fill-in for Skip. So when Skip couldn't be there for the debate table, Jay was in, and he did it a lot, and he did it very well. And I think he's one of the very few guys that's been able to break through. Most of your color guys are big-name players. They had great careers. They, there's every once in a while, there's Brad Gradkowski's kind of a breakthrough guy, too. Didn't have a great career.
Yeah.
But he played quarterback. So for Jay, this is
Tasker.
big. Special teams guy, but he was cream of the crop special teams.
But not
He
a lot
was
of
something else.
special teams guys
No,
doing
there
national
really
stuff.
aren't. So he's going to be on the show. He's going to talk to us I really want to get his thoughts on Cade York. Am I right in I drafted him in my fantasy draft.
Yeah.
I got him. Last round.
But I hope you didn't take him like the 5th round.
No, my very last round. Yeah, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard of. Also, we are going to spend some time talking about the Ohio State-Notre Dame game. Wow. That was too close for comfort for me. I mean, I know Notre Dame's a good team. I know they put it together late.
I know we're saving it for later, but that's my problem with college football, is that Ohio State played the 5th. I know we all thought they were going to win big, but none of us know crap about Notre Dame. We all just pretended we did. Mm-hmm. They played the number 5 team in the country. They won by double digits, and everybody's miserable today.
Yeah, I'm not miserable. I was just there was a 2.5 quarter stretch where I was very concerned.
But that's how spoiled we are.
That's how spoiled we are.
That's really
Look how well the defense played.
I wanted to win by
if that
32.
was the Browns Steelers, we were never nervous. We felt great. Hey, we're in this thing.
I pretty much watched every single game from start to finish, all college football games.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Notre Dame to me played probably one of the best games I've seen somebody play week 1. Mm-hmm. They were physical. They took the air out of the ball. And
I thought Freeman did a great job,
Marcus Freeman for the first
great
half. I said, wow, they got
And Ohio State's defense played great. They gave the long kick return, hold them to a field goal in that first drive. They scored 1 touchdown. That's it.
After 12 minutes in the second quarter, they didn't sniff any points.
And Ohio State's defense has been lousy the last couple of years, so I thought that was a really good
But he
sign.
is right. That's all you've heard about since this is
you're
just
right.
Everybody's been miserable.
We'll talk more about that later in the show. But really, so what we're going to do this week is each day we're going to pick a matchup in this Carolina Browns matchup and the Panthers-Brown matchup, and we're really going to deep dive into that. And today, we're going to put the Browns offense against the Panthers defense. And I've got a slew of questions here. But before I get into the individual questions from you guys, what's your initial thoughts, Browns offense versus Panthers defense?
I'm glad you asked me this, Jay, because we got to wrap our heads around this. Jacoby Brissett's not a very good quarterback. We all have to realize that. We can't pretend like all of a sudden he hasn't been in the NFL, he's going to be on the Browns, he's going to be great. Okay? But what Jacoby Brissett does well is takes care of the football. And he manages an offense, and he's smart, and he's a leader, and guys respect him. So don't expect him. He's not putting up 300-yard games. He's not throwing 4 touchdowns. But they don't need him to. To beat Carolina, they got to attack the middle of that defensive line and run the freaking football. Anybody who was panicking the preseason is lost. Nick Chubb didn't play. Kareem Hunt didn't play. Amari Cooper didn't play. And I don't think David Njoku play?
He did play a little.
Just in the third game.
Right.
He had 3 catches.
So their 3 best players on offense didn't play. Their 4th best player played a tiny bit. These guys are all going to play this week.
You didn't even talk about the line. I think the line just played when Watson played.
That's right.
In that first.
That's right.
In that
that's
first game.
A couple of the guys played the last game, but not Bitonio.
Right.
And we don't know about Conklin. He may not play this game. And I'm concerned about that.
Yeah, that's a
But
concern.
you've got to run right up the gut, right through the middle, attack.
Do you have a percentage in mind? What the Browns is it 60-40?
65-35.
Okay, I
want
60-40.
a huge run game this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike?
I mean, I totally agree with the fact that they have to rely on the run just based on everything that I've seen from Carolina's defense, which I just researched yesterday, so I have no clue and can't remember any of their names. I did see that last year they were Pro Football Focus had them ranked 22nd out of all defenses, so that's promising anyways. I know that they have made some improvements, but I'm scared of what this offense for the Browns is going to look like coming out of the gate for the same reasons that we were just talking about why we shouldn't be as scared as we are, which is the fact that they haven't done anything yet. They haven't played together. Most of these guys haven't played together in a real game situation, not even in a preseason game.
Ever.
Obviously, Jacoby didn't get as many reps in the preseason as I personally would have preferred, and I think a lot of people would have preferred. We say that Nick Chubb hasn't played at all, and that's true. We say that Amari Cooper hasn't played at all, and that's true. But that's also a problem, and I think we're going to come out of the gate. The idea that we're going to come out and looking smooth, I'm terrified of what this offense is going to look like for their first couple of series before they get their feet wet.
Yeah.
I would say the one word is, it's not one word, but 2nd and 6. 2nd and 6 is good. If you can get 4 yards on first down, that puts you in a position you can run anything you want. Jacoby Brissett can pass, but you don't want him in predictable passing situations. Predictable passing situations like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. No, you need to be able to manufacture on first down 4 to 5 yards. 2nd and 5 is the most advantageous to any quarterback, let alone a quarterback that has issues throwing the football and receivers that may have issues catching the ball. When you get to 2nd and 6, now you can start your screen game. Now you can do tunnel stuff. Now you can either do little jet motion stuff.
Everything's open.
Everything is open. It's It's the old school Walmart. Everything's open.
Yeah.
You can buy anything there. But that's the most important for them. And then I looked at that Notre Dame game and kind of did just compare. when you are physical and you can run the football and you continue to chew that clock up, there's anxiety building on the other sideline. Because guess what? If they go 3 and out and you back on the field and they're handing the ball to Chubb and Hunt, now it changes the complete game plan, and now you're affecting Baker Mayfield by offense. People say offense and offense don't mix. You don't compete against those guys. Yes, you do. If you can keep the ball and put 7 on, and that other quarterback is 3 and out or maybe getting field goals, that's a complete win for the Browns if they can do that.
Yeah, that's a great point. I always used to remember when Brady would play Rodgers, or there'd be a big, Manning and Brady, they would say, well, I'm never on the field. But you're absolutely right. You can affect that other quarterback by how little he gets to touch the grass. Mm-hmm. And I think the last drive, the last scoring drive for Ohio State on Saturday night, they got the ball on the 3-yard line. They went 97 yards. What we have to see out of this Browns offense is 85-yard, 13-play, 8-minute consuming drives. If you do that, Baker's never going to get a chance to get on the field and get a rhythm. I was thinking, normally I don't care who wins the toss. I think it's important that the Browns get the ball first, because I don't want Baker to touch the ball first and have it lead to a score. Yeah. That can be bad, because I think immediately everybody's going to be back on their heels.
And I can totally see that happening too.
Yeah.
Can't you totally?
I can totally see it happening as well. So I normally don't care about the opening toss. I think it's a joke. I would rather get the ball first in the second half. Not in this game. I think in this game, because of everything that's happened in the offseason, because of the anxiety that Baker's going to have against the Browns and the Browns are going to have against him, the worst case scenario, I think, for the Browns is that he touches it first, goes 80 yards, and it's 7-0 before Cleveland touches the ball.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that's going to lead to a loss. I just don't want that to happen.
I hear you. That would be bad. I'm okay either way. I do think the defense is going to be pumped up to play against Baker, but I hear you. I kind of want the offense to get the ball first, too. And I think, we have a tendency as fans to get antsy when the team runs the ball too much, because it's such a passing league now. And especially me, I'm always obsessed with the passing game. But this team is just, right now, this team is so built to run the ball and run it successfully. And I don't care, and I don't think Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt care. You throw as many guys in the box as you want. We'll take a couple of shots here and there, but I don't care. Nick Chubb breaks tackles better than any running back in football, and that includes Derrick Henry. And I don't care how many guys you put in the box. I don't think the Panthers have enough talent on defense to slow him down. I don't care if they run 13 freaking plays in a row.
God, I hope you're
right. Until they show they can stop it, I'm running the ball all the time.
We've sort of touched on this because I asked you what you think the perfect mix is. You say 65 run, 35 pass.
And that's really heavy.
I don't think we've seen a game in the recent NFL history, the last couple of years, where teams had 65, 35.
I bet you the Eagles did it last year.
Maybe in a weather game.
Or the Ravens.
You also haven't seen...
It happens once in a while.
You also haven't seen one of your main options being Jacoby Brissett throwing to Donovan Peoples-Jones. So I think that can sway that a little bit.
Don't forget the Buffalo-New England game last year in the tornado.
Yeah,
when New England ran the ball.
You're right.
I think the ball 3 times.
Yeah, you're right.
I would bet you Philly. I would bet you Philly did it though. I bet you Philly did it last year.
They may have, because Philly couldn't throw.
I think the Ravens have probably done it a couple of times in the last year.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to look that up. But this is what I'll say on that, and this is our segue to the next question. Even though we've kind of touched on how much we think they need to run it compared to passing it, what do you guys want to see from Kevin Stefanski? And G, you can start on this one and work the other way.
I just want to see a level of creativity, right? I want to see a level where you can look at it and say, wow, that was a real good wrinkle right there. And when I mean creativity, it doesn't have to be flea flickers and different things like that. I just want to see some different formations that you can put people on the island to get your people easy touches. Whether, it's hard for, Schwartz to get off the line of scrimmage and catch the football and just, as a regular type receiver. It's kind of difficult. I don't know if you can count on Donovan Peoples-Jones to run the entire route tree and be very productive. But what you can do is you can put those guys and isolate them in positions where they can get to where they want to go, and that is their strength, right? If you can't get Anthony Schwartz a deep ball, one of the things that you can do, you can run them. You can run the heck out of them, right? You can bring jet motion. You can do reverses. You can do a bunch of that stuff. Move him out of the backfield. So if he's lined up in the backfield, the linebacker has to cover him, not a corner. So those type things you can really be creative with. And I think just being creative to a point where you're going to run 60-40, but the formation says, this is a 50-50.
Right.
Right? So
Yes.
that's where I would like to go with it.
Okay.
I agree. I just want the with that sort of. I agree with sticking to the running game. I think that I want the opposite of creativity, though, in that I just want no trick plays. No wildcats to Jarvis Landry like last year. I know we don't have them, but I'm saying I don't need to see any of that until we've established that we can actually. Sometimes he jumps the gun, especially early on in the game, and he's like, let's throw something crazy out there on
You're
third
right,
down.
he does.
And then next thing, because he's trying to catch you off guard, prove that you can run the ball first, get a lead before you start doing anything.
And save the trick stuff for when
Yes.
the game is in the balance and they least expect it.
Right. Early on, there's almost an arrogance to doing it when you haven't proven that you can just run a competent offense yet. And I'd like to see competent offense before I see him do
Okay, so
anything
the
nuts.
basics.
I
You're
want the
looking for
basics.
the basics.
I do.
When G brings up creativity, I agree. And one thing he didn't mention there, and I know you've mentioned it before, using Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb together. We've all talked about this. We've been waiting for this. Freddie Kitchens had one game 3 years ago where he used them together a lot.
Yeah.
It worked.
Did.
And then he never did it again. And I can't even remember Stefanski's done it at all. If he has, it's barely ever. I want to see it. I'm not saying we got to see it a million times, but at least see it sometimes. Put Kareem Hunt in the slot. He could be. They will be freaked out, the defense, if you have Kareem Hunt in the slot.
You aren't kidding.
They are not. That's being creative without being crazy.
Right.
Right.
You know, that's being smart because he's a great pass catcher and he could be dangerous. But you got Nick Chubb in the backfield, and I got Kareem Hunt out here. What the hell am I going to do?
Sure.
And then I got Amari Cooper out here, and then I got David Njoku up tight in the line. I want them guessing that way. You don't have to get them guessing with trick plays and stuff like that. I mean, you can do that once in a while, but that's what I want to see. Be creative, out of your base offense, if you will, with different motions, different setups, whatever it may be, and do it that way. But I want to see Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb have 40 touches between them.
Yeah, I'm glad you went with the number because I was also going to ask, like, how many touches did the two of them combined have to have? That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's more than half their offensive plays.
I want
They won't get 80
25 for
offensive
Chubb
plays.
and 15 from Hunt at least.
If they get that, then you would think that it's working. Here's
Yes.
what I want from Kevin Stefanski. Commit to the run. Stay
Absolutely.
with it. Well, I've seen in the past where he's talked all week long, we're going to have to run the ball, we're going to have to run the ball, we're going to have to run the ball. First down, they open up with a pass. They try to run on second down. They can't. Now they're passing on third because it's third and long. And so this commit to the run game plan led to one carry on second down. And then the other team scores. Now it's 7-0, and then the run game's gone. I need him to commit to what they do best.
I
This
never
team is a
understand
run
that.
game.
Why does he do that? Do you
I don't
guys have
know.
a theory, really? Because we all complain about it. We've been complaining about it for years now, and it's a very common complaint. I mean, it's one of the main things you hear. Why don't you play them together? Why don't you stick to the run? What is it that happens to him? Here's this coach that we brought in for his great offensive mind. Are we the idiots for begging for that? Are we wrong for some reason? I'm just missing it? Or is there...
I mean, in general, in this NFL, you have to throw to win.
Yeah.
And it's smart in general to throw on first down. But you, in the end, have to play to your personnel. And the Browns have had to run first personnel. Now, when they get Deshaun Watson, I get it. Then it changes. You have an elite level quarterback. But with Baker, who's an average quarterback, and with Jacoby Brissett, who's not even average, you have to play to your personnel, and I do agree that they need to do that and be
What
committed.
scares me about the personnel package that the Browns are going to put out there Sunday, if you're Carolina and you're in your defensive game planning right now, the one thing that you can pretty much, I don't want to say completely take it off the table, but you're not going to spend a lot of time this week focusing on anybody getting behind your defense. So if you're Carolina, you're going 10, 12 yards and playing everything in front of you because the passing game is going to be 3 to 5 yard quick passes. Njoku, I think, will end up being the leading receiver. I do. I think they paid him this money. They're going to be anxious to show that they didn't waste that money, and I think they're going to game plan big around him. Those are extended handoffs.
Yeah.
I want to see Amari Cooper catch 8 balls for 100 yards. If he does that, we win. That's my circle stat. If I'm going to give one, like a lot of times they'll say, well, if Chubb and Hunt combine for 150, if Amari Cooper can catch 8 balls for 100 yards, and isn't that the guy that he used to be? Isn't that the guy we need him to be? If he's able to do that, that will soften the front of the defense and allow us to run the ball. I think we win.
Most of the time, the reason why they do it is because, generally speaking, in the NFL, you have to throw the ball to run the ball. If you don't complete,
But didn't it used to be the other way around? You establish the run to open the passing
it's
lanes.
changed.
But what happens is now guys are so athletic that now unblocked guy coming free is going to make that tackle now. you couldn't count on back in the 70s an unblocked safety tackling O.J. Simpson or Jim Brown, or they're not just not going to do it. Nowadays, what they're doing is they got so many people in the line of scrimmage that they can say, all right, we're going to eliminate that. So what you have to do is we got to throw people off the line of scrimmage. So you need about 5 to 6 throws, 5 to 6, preferably 12 to 15 yards. And what that does, it makes the defense respect you and say, well, we at least have to watch the intermediate game.
We can't cheat up on the run.
We can't do intermediate. We got to at least watch the intermediate game because Amari Cooper's killing us right now with these little short, these digs. But the thing is, all year you're going to tell yourself, how are the Cleveland Browns going to outsmart people who they know only have one dimension that's dominant, right? How are they going to get creative every single week to say, hey, we're running the ball. We're still going to run it, but we're going to do it and be successful.
When you look at the defense for the Carolina Panthers, I don't think they don't do anything particularly well. I don't think the Browns are going to say, well, we absolutely won't be able to do this. So I think everything is on the table if the Browns can throw the intermediate passes. The one thing I don't think we'll see is the deep ball, just because the quarterback isn't built that way. But when you're Stefanski and you're looking at that defense, is there a particular area that you're going to attack the most? Are you going to go after the corners? Are you going to try to make the linebackers be able to stop Chubb on one touch? How are you coming at that defense?
Well, I want to isolate the linebackers. So one of the things that I always love is the fact that when you do certain motions, you can figure out what the linebackers doing, whether they're in zone, whether they're a man. And what I want to do is, the great thing about the Cleveland Browns running game is it's multiple. You go back to a couple years, they don't just run zone, they run stretch. They run zone blocking. They'll do double team and move up to the linebacker. They'll run gap schemes. They'll run traps. One of the things that really, if you're multiple in the way you're going about your running game, I would like to see the linebackers running sideline to sideline, sideline to sideline. And handoffs can be screens. To me, the screen game is something that Stefanski is really great at. So you mix in the screens, you mix in the RPOs, you mix in the tunnel and bubble stuff. I think all those count as run plays. So if you can get guys and have their eyes moving left to right, then you can start isolating and say, oh, you moved too far. You 2 steps, you can't get in your gap. And now we're up in the middle. We got 12, 13 yards.
So use that to set up other things.
Mm-hmm. You can use that to set up. So that's what I would like to see. If they can get the linebackers to take the bait and say, I'm worried about going left to right instead of worried about north to south, I think the Browns' running game could be dominant in this game.
I love that these plans that we always have before the game, they always sound so great and everything, and then get into that, and then somehow it's like 3 and out, and one of the worst throws you've ever seen. Or I'm just horrified by the start of this game. Should I be? Am I being just too Cleveland Browns?
No, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Cleveland Browns.
I am. All right, that's fair. I need to hear it from friends.
In his defense, this is not. First of all, we have the 119-1 or whatever we are. 1-19. I don't know what the hell it is. We've won once an opening day.
I think it's 21. I think it's.
There is a tie.
Okay.
They tied with the Steelers.
Yeah, I think so.
I
think they're 119-1.
Yep.
So, number one, it's a big game because we got to get that monkey off our back. We just have to. Number two, it's against Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
And the last thing this fan base wants to do is have to start explaining to fans of other teams why we gave up on the guy that just kicked our ass. We don't want that. We don't want to have to go down. So, and I know it's one game and nobody's going to overreact, but it's one game and everybody always overreacts.
Everybody's going to overreact.
So we don't want to go there.
Yeah.
You got to start fast. In the game and in the season.
And another important thing is, let's face it, the middle of the schedule from weeks like 5 or 6 to 11
is brutal.
This
is a winnable game.
If you're
going to have
a chance to if you have a chance to give Watson a chance to get you to the playoffs, you've got to win 3 of your first 4.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more.
And so you got.
I think Mike is justified in being very, very nervous.
The Panthers are favored in this game.
And only based on everything I've ever seen since 1999. This is what I'm basing it on, by the way. I'm not plucking this out of the sky. I'm not being a negative Nelly.
Yeah.
I believe in math. And so far, mathematically, it has not gone well for the Browns.
But remember this, guys. Remember last year, the Browns made a lot of additions to their defense. And how bad was their defense at the beginning of last year?
Terrible. Yep. It was terrible.
The Panthers, they were number 2 last year in yards against, but all their other statistics, including the PFF grade, which you said, point to their defense not being very good. they made a lot of changes to their defense. They did bring in a bunch of veterans. I think they have 5 new starters on defense.
And that takes time.
That takes time.
Yeah.
I would think their defense is good. You talk about, well, our defense hasn't gotten a lot of reps and whatever. Now, I don't know how much their defensive starters played in the preseason. Probably more than our offensive starters did. But the regular season's a whole new ball game. And when you bring a lot of new starters that have been at other teams, one guy from Minnesota, one guy from Jacksonville, they brought in a defensive tackle from San Francisco. When you bring all these new guys to a defense that wasn't very good and guys are learning their roles, that's tough.
Yeah.
And so that's a challenge for them, and that's something the Browns can take advantage of. There's some of their new starters at every level. Now, some of those guys are good players, but in the first week, they haven't played together.
Yeah.
But one thing that makes me nervous, Brian Burns is their best pass rusher.
Yeah.
And if Jack Conklin, there you go, Brian Burns, right? If Jack Conklin doesn't play, if I'm the Panthers, I'm lining up Brian Burns against whoever's playing right tackle.
That's exactly what they'll do.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a potential issue.
Well, I mean, the Browns have that same mismatch. They've got Myles Garrett going against a rookie.
Right.
And, you
should destroy him.
They're going to, and we'll, later in the week, I think tomorrow, we're going to go Browns defense against the Panthers offense. Let's try to mythically pick a number.
Yeah.
This can be dangerous, but how many points do you feel the Browns offense has to score for them to come home 1-0?
I think it's going to be a gross-looking game, and I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. Doesn't that just sound like the Panthers-Browns Week 1 game should end like 12-9 or something like that?
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
I could see that. So I don't think they'll have to score all that much, probably, because I think that it's going to be a real sloppy, ugly game.
You think 17 gets it done?
Yeah, I think 17 points. Well, yeah, I mean, I think 17 points will probably get it done. I think it's going to be a gross game, so yeah, I think that will probably get it done.
G-Bush?
I'm going to go with 21. 21 gets it done. I would go with 20, but I like a nice round number of 21. The reason you got to get 21 points is you got to expect, Baker may come out and get a drive. He may hit a couple plays and you get a drive. They do got Christian McCaffrey, right? So my thing is, if you could get 3 scores on the board, you can make sure that you got those 3 touchdowns. If you can keep the Panthers from playing from behind, right? And this is why I like what you said about starting fast. When you're playing for a new team, you don't have any continuity. You don't have any all of that goodwill isn't built up, right? Mm-hmm. And so usually if you're playing for a team and you start off a little slow, people say, "Hey guys, we'll pick it up. Let's do it." But now Baker's at a different team. If he starts off slow, you want Baker Mayfield to press. You want him to think he has to make a play. You want him to make it think
get in his head.
He has to. I got to do it. This ain't working. Let me squeeze
that's where the
this
turnovers
in.
come.
And that's
Build
what
that
comes.
pressure.
I'm never going to sell any T-shirts at this rate.
Right.
Nobody's going to buy these. I got a warehouse full.
I ain't never making that money back, right?
Yeah, off the leash.
You want him to think he got to make a play and that he's a playmaker.
Yeah.
And that switch happens a lot with him, but you got to put that pressure on him by saying, "Hey Baker, you down 14, third quarter.
Yeah.
Hey Baker, you still down 10. It's third quarter. This is fourth quarter, Baker. What we doing?"
Yeah.
That type of atmosphere, that type of mentality is going to be key in this game. So I say 21 points, make them play from behind.
Bull, how many?
18 points.
Wow.
It's an
So
odd
you're with
score,
Mike.
but I think the Panthers are going to score 17, so the Browns need 18 to
All
win.
right.
I
Very
got the
good.
Browns winning this game 20-17, but I guess I should have saved that for the end of the week. But
I like that.
yeah, I think the Panthers are going to score around. I mean, I would expect the total score of this game to be somewhere from the low 30s to the high 30s,
Yeah,
right?
I'm
Maybe
thinking
40 at the
mid-30s.
most.
I'm
right.
with you guys. I don't think
Yeah.
they're going to put a lot of points up. It's early in the season.
Yeah.
Hell, the Browns offense, when they come on the field, it will be the first time since, ever, because they've got a new quarterback, that this group has ever run a play together in a football game.
Right.
Including the preseason.
When you put it like
that's
that.
terrifying.
That kind of gets me a little bit.
Well,
Yeah, that's terrifying.
But is it the same for the Panthers? Did Christian McCaffrey play in the preseason?
I'm not sure if he did or not. I don't know.
I don't think he
McCaffrey did not play in the
Yeah.
preseason, and if anyone wants to know, or before I tell you, guess, what do you think the over-under in Vegas for this game is?
I'd say 38.
Close.
40.
39.5.
40.
G-Bush is the closest,
That's fine. I'll go 41.
and Mike Polk wins. It's 41 and a
And
half.
for an NFL game, that's low.
It's the lowest on the board this week.
It used to be, 41 was
Yeah. Middle of the road.
Yeah, now 41
Yeah,
is like,
they
wow,
know.
that's a
Yeah.
low. Yeah, I expected
Lowest on the
it-
board.
Yeah, it is lowest on the board. That's interesting.
What is the highest? Is it Rams Bills?
Give me 1 sec, but I have to imagine that is.
By the way,
quite
I mean,
the
you think
line.
about this first game 2 nights from now, Rams Bills to start the season, which is great.
I can't
how
wait.
about this is how good Vegas thinks the Bills are. They're a 3-point favorite against the Super Bowl champs on the road.
At LA.
Wow.
Isn't
Now,
that
now
amazing?
all things being equal, there are tough road crowds.
Yeah.
LA isn't one of them.
No, it is
But
not.
still, it's usually a 3-point
Right.
edge for the home team. And I think that's what we're seeing in the Carolina game. I think the reason they're
Right.
favored is because Vegas always recognizes that the home team will have a 3-point advantage. But
Yeah.
I'm surprised the Panthers are favored by 2.5. I think a lot of people have bet up the Panthers because they think a lot of people hate the Browns nationally right now.
Yep.
And I think people think Baker's going to go and kick the Browns' ass because the line shouldn't be that big. Because by saying it's 3 points, you're basically saying these teams are even. And I think even with Jacoby Brissett, the Browns top to bottom are definitely a better roster.
The line has
feels that way.
dropped to 1.5
Oh,
for the
really?
record in the Browns.
Oh, wow.
When did that
Panthers
happen?
game.
This morning it was.
how
I
did
saw
we
2.5.
get better
Yeah, but
since
who
last
is that?
night?
Whose line
I'm
is
looking
that?
at sportsdata.com right now, Tipico Sportsbook.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for the record, both the Las Vegas Raiders LA Chargers game and the Rams Bills game is 52.5 as the over/under.
And that's the high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the news when the Browns went out and got a right tackle, I would not be surprised if Jack Conklin did not play.
I'm not expecting him to play.
I'm not either.
I'm not
him to play.
expecting he'll be out there. And that is another reason for me to not sleep Saturday
That's
night.
pretty scary.
Yeah, that is
Can I ask
very
you guys
scary.
a question about that real quick?
Sure.
If he doesn't play, and G. Bush, maybe you might be the best person to answer this first. How does that affect the run game for the Browns? Do they avoid running to his side of the field, knowing Brian Burns will be lined up against there, and we're going to see them run heavily to Jedrick Willis' side? Or does that really not affect how Kevin Stefanski will call running plays against the Panthers?
Well, this morning we talked to Joe Thomas on the Locked On Browns podcast. Matter of fact, if you're not on the Locked On Browns podcast,
What are you doing with your life?
Come on, man. Come on over there. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe.
Get it together.
But Joe Thomas said when you look at the PFF grade for Conklin, he is the best outside zone tackle in the game. When you look at it, what he grades on those run plays, and so
Because of his play on the run.
yes, you look at what he's able to do on the outside run and outside zone plays. It just makes the Browns that much of a better team because now they got an elite puller and teller. They got awesome guards. They got guards that are road graders that can do a lot of things. And on the outside, you can still run the outside plays. So without him being there, it limits you a little bit in what you can do. You got Hudson that's going to be a guy that's going to be out there. He had a lot of holding penalties. And one of the things that I don't want to see, and I think this could happen a couple times in the game, where Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt break a long run.
And it comes back.
And backside, he grabs the guy when you don't need to back grab him. Let him go.
Do you have confidence yet in Hudson? Because I do not.
Do we know that for sure that it's Hudson and not Hubbard that's going to play?
It could be
It
either
could be.
one.
I don't think they. Well, what's the depth chart show?
They're
McNuggets?
both listed as.
I don't think it
Hubbard's-
says. I don't think anybody has come out and said if not
I mean,
Conklin.
Hubbard was hurt last year, but he's a veteran. Now he's struggled when he's played here. And he was a starter in Pittsburgh for a while.
I think the point is if Conklin's not there, the drop off is
it is a drop off.
dramatic.
I think I'd rather go with Hubbard though. I don't know. I'm not in camp.
I'll be interested to see what it is because Hubbard is kind of their swing guy. He's played all the positions, but I think it hurts a little bit. So especially offsides and different penalties, especially if you break a long run, you always, and we talked about it, you want to stay ahead of the change. You don't want second. This team is going to make you want to walk out into traffic blindfolded if they're 2nd and 20. The 1st and 15, 2nd and 20s, the 3rd and 11s, it's not going to be fun watching this team because they don't have the capabilities of picking those up.
Who
Go
feels
ahead.
better if Tretter's here right now? I mean,
I do. I just do.
yeah?
Yeah.
But
He
are
retired.
we gonna? I know, but are we gonna regret that? He didn't have to. I mean,
Yeah, he didn't have to.
How long before we regret that? First quarter?
I've already regretted it. I said it. I said it at the end of camp.
I haven't liked it the whole
Why
time.
aren't they on the phone?
Especially when Nick Harris got
Once
hurt.
Harris went
obviously.
down,
What are we
I would have
doing?
been on the phone that day with his agent trying to figure out a deal.
So what happened? What do you think happened really?
I
Anybody?
think egos got involved. I think there was
Yeah.
some personal feelings
get
that were
over
hurt.
it. Yeah.
And
I know that was stupid.
look, I mean, if you want to get right down to it, it's a similar thing that the reason Baker isn't here.
Yeah.
Baker got his feelings hurt. I can't
Right.
play for these guys now because I'm not their favorite.
Yeah.
So he came out and asked for the trade, and then the bridge was burned completely.
How about just the Browns, though? Why don't be like a 16-year-old girl in high school about this?
Agreed.
Yeah,
Like
but
if
that's
you're-
who they are.
And this is also the team that's just like, Deshaun Watson, we know you got a few foibles, but you can join the team. But that J.C. Treader, we don't like his attitude.
Yeah.
I mean, what? That doesn't make any
It
sense.
is dumb.
Grow up.
I think it is personal. I do think that factored in.
Well, if you look at, he had a Sports Illustrated article. He said that he was willing to take a little less, excuse me.
Yeah.
He wasn't asking for any crazy amount of money. I just think, the whole thing about him being the president of the Players Association, not only the Browns didn't really call him, he said he didn't get calls from any.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's-
the Browns in particular were
crazy.
pissed
it's
about.
low-key collusion as far as
That's
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
crazy.
it is really shady, and they would have been better off. But
JC's the kind of guy, though, that I don't be surprised if you hear a lawsuit filed down the road.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's
Yeah.
a
Probably
brilliant guy.
deservedly so.
And
Look at his history. And why is he not on this team
Yeah,
right
you're
now?
going to tell
We're
me
signing
that
people
all
off the
32
scrap
said,
heap.
no, we're good?
Yeah, right.
We need no depth.
When he was still a top 10 center in the league last
I know.
year.
Right.
Top
Look at his
10.
grade outs.
Yeah.
So there's
So
no.
I don't get it.
But getting to the right tackle thing now specifically, the more I think about it, I am worried about the holding penalties. And I think a young player like Hudson, who has very little experience starting, as opposed to a veteran in Hubbard, who, if I remember correctly, he hasn't played in 2 years. If I remember correctly, was he's not great, but I think I remember him being better against the run or better in the run than the pass. And I would, to your question before, Jay, I find with a lot of pass rushers, especially young, aggressive pass rushers like Brian Burns of Carolina, who kind of came into his own last year, I like to kind of run at those guys. I don't want to run at a Jadeveon Clowney because he's a great run defensive end.
Sure.
But for a young, aggressive pass rusher, right, he's thinking about getting to the quarterback and killing you in the backfield. I like attacking him quickly.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't my coach used to always say, hey, you got to work the first 2 downs to get the opportunity to rush the passer.
pin your ears back.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they in 2nd and 5, you ain't never rushing the passer because you always got to think run. 2nd and 5, that's a run down. And it's hard to rush the passer when somebody's firing at you, hitting you in the face,
Yeah.
and you got to get off blocks. I love that. You definitely have to run at guys.
McNuggets has